Welcome back to The Price of Business. I am your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. If you live in the Houston area, you should be really aware of this great university called the University of Houston. I did graduate work there. I have two of my children are alums of University of Houston. One of them at Bauer, and one of them has a degree in communications. I'm a huge Cougar fan. Check out as many games as I possibly can. And, I'm proud. I'm Houston proud, and I'm Cougar proud. And so delighted to have on a couple of guests here who are big fans as well. Dr. Bob Casey, in fact, is a leader there at the University of Houston. And Carl Glaw is a distinguished alum of the university. And he's with a CPA firm called Glow CPAs, correct?
GLO CPAs.
GLO, yeah.
Come glow with us.
Yeah. Come glow with us.
Experience the halo effect.
There you go. So, Bob, real quickly, let's start with you. Kind of give us a little bit about your background and what
Kevin,
exactly you do.
Thank you so much, Kevin, and we appreciate the raving fans that we have here in Houston, and you're one of many thousands, and so thank you for that. I took a midlife career change about 24 years ago, and I got into academic administration, and I spent the decade in the 90s at UT Austin. Then I got recruited to come to the University of Houston in 2000. So I'm in my 14th year here, and I've loved every minute of it. And working for the University of Houston and being a native of the greater Houston area, it's like coming home, Kevin. It's just like you expressed. And U of H, it's our time now, and it's our time to shine. And so based on the history of our university and the history of our great city, it's sort of like people say, when business and people succeed, communities prosper, and we all elevate together. Well, the only way to do that is through education. And so the mission for the University of Houston is to provide higher education for those working professionals of Houston and their sons and daughters.
Exactly.
And that's what inspires me. That's what I have passion about.
Absolutely. And in your case, Carl, you are a passionate alum. Talk a little bit about that.
Yes. I got involved. I met Coach Yeoman in a parking lot, and we were crossing paths, and I asked my lunch friend, who is that guy? And he said, that's Coach Yeoman. And I said, wait a minute, turn around, introduce me to this guy. So he did, and I said, Coach, can I buy you lunch sometime? And we met, and he said, son, you can be relevant if you want to be. And that was about 18 years ago. And gosh, was Coach Yeoman right. He taught me how to be relevant, and with a passion, we have just chewed up whatever we could do at University of Houston. And then with Bob's arrival, it was like a breath of fresh air. Bob single-handedly brought in a $40 million gift from Ted Bauer. And
that's huge. That's one of the most important things in University of Houston's development and history.
Huge. First 3 months of his involvement there, and all of a sudden, we started beginning this huge metamorphosis into a Tier 1 university. And Linda, my wife, and Ashley and I were all passionately involved on Proposition 4, which was a state constitutional amendment that the state had to vote on to allow University of Houston to become Tier 1. But I credit Bob Casey being the spark plug of turning that from a third world country sort of environment to a very top Tier 1 university competing now with A&M and UT and all the rest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Carl.
And that's your stomping grounds, the Bauer College. That's where you do your work.
My first 13 years, Kevin, were all dedicated to the Bauer College of Business. This last year, I was asked to take on more of an expanded role for the university. So I'm now an assistant vice president helping all colleges in terms of how we connect with our constituents and how do we relate in meaningful ways, in a relationship way that enables us to earn investment from the constituents that we serve.
Yes. Talk about that Tier 1 status that we're hearing so much of these days.
Let us both address that. Carl, since Carl was our distinguished alumnus in 2003, we've got the ability here to give you stereo. Carl can talk from an alumni point of view. He's on the board of the University of Houston Alumni Association. He's also instrumental in the PAC for the University of Houston. Then I'll try to give an academic administrative perspective. Is that
Very
okay?
Good. Very good.
Well, from the Tier 1 standpoint, now that puts us on par with Rice, University of Texas, and A&M. And we have seen an incredible increase in interest since the Tier 1 award has been handed out. last year we had 22,000 applicants for 3,000 freshman slots, if you could imagine. It has been huge in terms of what it has allowed us to do. We just finished fundraising that Bob told me met the goal of $110 million for this past year, which is also huge. In the Tier 1 status, they look at so many different factors, like what is the entrance level of the SAT? And the SAT entrance for entering freshmen was 1250, equal to that of Stanford. So it has gotten tough to get in, be admitted into the university. Fortunately, we have Houston Community College, which is, I call it kind of a Plan B deal, but allows students that maintain a B average, at least for Bauer College, to go the first 2 years there and transfer over. And I think usually that's without much to do. So that's very welcoming.
Yep.
We also have 10,000 beds on campus now, which is also huge. Technically, we are no longer a commuter school. Once you have about 25% or 20% of your population that have beds on the campus, then you're no longer technically a commuter school. So we've got 10,000 beds. We have more than any other university except A&M, which has about 11,000, and they attribute that differential to the core.
So why don't you talk about that?
Let me try to be quick about this
because at Tier 1, there's all the colleges are divided up into different tiers. So talk a little bit about that.
It's magical. First of all, every winners flock to winners. Everybody wants to be a winner. And let me bring praise and salute the leadership of the university under Dr. Renu Couture, who's our University of Houston System Chancellor. She's also president of the main campus. She is an incredible leader, and we have an incredible Board of Regents of Houston business leaders, of successful Houstonians, not just alumni. The achievement and the recognition from the Carnegie Foundation that anointed us as a Tier 1 university from a teaching and research point of view is paramount to the success of the university. And that has a cascading effect on all of the 12 colleges and the other several units within the University of Houston main campus. It also has a cascading effect on the other system components. Mm-hmm. So as we move forward with record fundraising, with record alumni participation and involvement, with the relevance that we have to the city of Houston, to the state of Texas, to our country, and from a global point of view, we really reflect Houston, Kevin. Yes. And we mirror Houston in every aspect of diversity and excellence. And that's part of Tier 1. Now our next mission, the next phase of Tier 1, is to be recognized within the state of Texas, within the country, from other academic standards in addition to the Carnegie Foundation.
Yeah, there's three, aren't there? Three prominent recognized entities. You've got one of the three.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. There are multiple.
I'm doing it in a layman way because I am a layman.
It's exactly right. But academics like business has a bottom line, and so you have to approach it that way.
Want to make sure we get a plug-in for your speaking event.
On October 17th, Thursday, Dr. Renu Couture is our keynote luncheon speaker for GLO. It's at the Junior League. Please come if you can. She's the chancellor over the entire U of H systems. It's going to be great, and you'll learn a lot more about University of Houston there.
I mentioned it when I was there for Dr. Casey and the others there of U of H. Phenomenal what they do. Cool luncheon. What's the website over there to get more information?
www.glocpa.com.
glocpa.com. I'll be speaking either later this year or early next year. I can't remember what we've scheduled, but these are great people, and I'm glad to have them now as friends of the Price of Business. When we come back, and of course, U of H is uh.edu.
Yes, that's correct.
When we come back, much more for you. Do want to remind you, best content here shows up over there at usdailyreview.com. This is the Price of Business.